Highland Park on the 110 South just before Marmion Way. We have the left lane blocked for a 3-car crash. Stop and go coming from York, then in Anaheim 5 South right at Brookhurst. Stalled car blocking your right lane. We can see this backup starts at the 91.
Is this the Tiger?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
Whenever the Oklahoma City Thunder faced a challenge in the NBA regular season, the playoffs, or the finals, they rose up and got the job done. OKC played like champions most of the season, and they were on top of their game Sunday night, using a dominant second half to beat the Indiana Pacers 103-91 for their first NBA championship since moving to OKC in 2008. NBA MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was also voted MVP of the finals. SGA led the Thunder with 29 points, 12 assists, and 2 block shots. Indiana had to play most of the game without star point guard Tyrese Halliburton, who suffered an Achilles tendon injury with 4:55 left in the first quarter. There was another major news story in the NBA on Sunday. The Phoenix Suns traded future Hall of Famer Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets, a young team that made it to the Western Conference semifinals this season. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
LA's newest soul food restaurant is getting spectacular reviews.
Great place with amazing food. The Sunday champagne brunch is fabulous. I saw the place on IG. We tried it for lunch. We were blown away by the food and the service. The restaurant has an inviting atmosphere and a dynamic vibe.
Over the years, Lionel has catered most major black events in Los Angeles, including all of our KBLA Talk 1580 gatherings. But now he has his own spot, Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine, and you need to check it out at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles. Oxtails, baked or fried chicken, meatloaf, turkey chops, pork chops, catfish, short ribs, and all the fixins. Collard greens, mac and cheese, yams, red beans, black-eyed peas, and more. And of course, hot water cornbread, satisfying drinks, and delicious desserts. Lionel's is a great place for brunch, lunch, or dinner. If it's good enough for us, it's good enough for you, because we've got your black. So, head on over to Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles and tell Lionel you heard about it on KBLA Talk 1580.
Well, you can tell everybody. Yeah, you can tell everybody. Go ahead and tell everybody. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I am. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. I believe every lie that I ever told. Paid for every heart that I ever stole. I played my cards and I didn't fold. Well, it ain't that hard when you got sold. Somewhere I heard that life is a test. I've been through the worst, but I still give my best. God made my mold different from the rest. Then he broke that mold, so I know I'm blessed. Stand up now and face the sun. Won't hide my tail or turn and run. It's time to do what must be done. Be a king when kingdom comes. Well, you can tell everybody.
KBLA Talk 1580. First things first. Yep, you can go tell everybody. Well, Aloe Black said it best, but I'm going to claim it too. Yes, I am the man, and I'm also joined by the man. I'm so honored and that the universe is lined up this conversation this morning on this program with this brother who also is the man. He is the chief national correspondent for KBLA Talk 1580. He is former White House correspondent, but he also host, which why I think he's the man. He's the host of A More Perfect Union, which airs right here on KBLA Talk 1580, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Dr. Nee Quarterley, how you doing this morning?
What's going on? What's going on? How you doing, James?
Man, you know, it's going to be a lot of man going back and forth in here. And man, I got some questions for you, Doc. I'm so grateful that you Well, it's a little bit later for you, so I'm only give you half the credit for getting up with us this morning. But I do know you have to prepare for your own show. How you doing out there, man? Are you in DC right now?
I am. I'm in DC. I'll be heading over to the White House to see what information I can piece together in time to share with our leaders, learners, and listeners on a More Perfect Union this afternoon at 4:00. As you know, not just the country, but the world is reeling after the American airstrikes in Iran over the weekend. Lots of information floating around on the internet. I think we're going to be separating the fact from the fiction for some time now, but that's what we're focused on, because we know that what happens there is also happening here.
Right.
So, for example, there is a channel, the Hormuz channel, right off the coast of Iran, where a lot of oil tankers go through that canal. And if Iran was feeling froggy and decided to disrupt the vessels that travel that canal, then that could mean higher energy prices for us here at home. It's still unknown, what role China might play in support of or in defense of Iran. And so there are a lot of wild cards out there that are not just happening in Iran, but could very well affect us at home in short order.
Well, we're definitely going to get into more of that as you unpack, and you're doing a little bit extra duty today. And I think it's important that the delegation here, directly from our source, the delegation source, who was right there, as Doc said, at the White House and piecing together the information. Definitely want to hear more about that. Well, KBLA is 4 now, right? We celebrated our 4th anniversary last Thursday. We missed you at the there were 4 events, but the barbecue, brother. So I wanted to give you a quick second to reflect on KBLA, and you know how this clock works around here, a couple of minutes, to reflect on the importance of KBLA Talk 1580 in this moment.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and, I'm sorry I wasn't able to be physically there, although I was there in spirit. What a tremendous milestone for KBLA Talk 1580, the only Black-owned and operated talk station west of the Mississippi. Imagine that. I think KBLA was created for a time such as this, right? In the tradition of the Black press, we understand that our duty to our leaders, learners, and listeners is not just to inform, but to liberate. And that's my North Star, that's your North Star, that's Dominique's North Star, that's Tavis's North Star, that's all of our North Star at KBLA. And I just count myself very fortunate to be able to work with a team of folks like you that are deeply committed and rooted in community to separate the facts from the fiction on a whole wide range of issues that we know impact our folks, oftentimes disproportionately, and to be able to do it with some joy, to be able to bring some levity to the conversation, right? To be able to remind folks that we have had to endure worse in this country, worse in other parts of the diaspora, and as Dr. Maya Angelou says so eloquently, and still I rise. And so, this good morning, we are rising.
Like the Phoenix. When we come forward, I'm going to continue the conversation with my brother, Dr. Nicordelai Corte, host of KBLA's A More Perfect Union. Doc, I'm going to tell on myself, and I hope Miss Deborah, folks around the delegation know, I had your plate, brother. That's how good the food was at the barbecue. But when we come forward, we're going to continue the conversation. I really want to understand what's happening in Washington, what we should be focusing on and paying attention to, only on KBLA Talk 1580, your ancestors' favorite radio station.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
One thank you. Yeah.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-550-9651. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-550-9651. That's 800-550-9651. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Well, you're not waking up with Dominique DePrima. You're waking up with James Farr. I'm sitting in for Dominique DePrima this morning. First things first, KBLA Talk 1580. And I am joined by my esteemed and distinguished, but I'm just going to say he the man, like Aloe Black said he's the man, Dr. Niquartali Corte, who hosts A More Perfect Union, which airs right here on this station, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. He is our chief national correspondent, and Doc is headed over to, also a professor over at Pepperdine University. Did I mention author as well? But there's a whole host of things, but Doc has accomplished and does for us and our community. Doc's headed over to the White House shortly to get an update. Doc, what do you anticipate hearing? First, let's go back to Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
We learned Sunday morning when we woke up that the United States, there were rumblings that Friday that fighter jets or planes had been scrambled towards Guam. And, I'm thinking, okay, is the president lost? I think Iran is in at least the shortest route to Iran from Wakeman. Is it Wakeman Air Force Base or the base that's in the Midwest? Would seem to go east, right? But we now know that was a ruse, a distraction, sleight of hand by the military to head towards Guam. But we wake up Sunday morning to learn that a missile strike, 30-pound bombs, had been dropped on nuclear sites. For those that are just catching up, what is it that we need to know about? Is it a war? Is it a conflict? What are you learning? Help us understand.
Well, I think it's important that we turn the clock back. Let's not start the clock from this weekend, but let's start the clock from decades ago, where Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been saying for decades, that Iran was close to having a nuclear weapon and they needed to be stopped. And it has been pretty much the position of presidents of the United States over the years. They've been in agreement with the Israeli Prime Minister that Iran shouldn't have a nuclear weapon. And so there was a Iran nuclear deal that we had in place, that, said that they could only, enrich uranium up to a certain level. It said that they had to be closely monitored. There was an Iran nuclear deal in place that this President Trump, got rid of. He got rid of the Iran nuclear deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what makes this situation so fraught, to say the least, is that the United States preemptively, launched these airstrikes on Iran, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, Trump's director of national intelligence, testified before Congress in March and said that it was the opinion of the intelligence community that Iran was no closer to having a nuclear weapon. Well, this president disagreed publicly with his director of national intelligence and said he thinks she's wrong. He thinks the intelligence community is wrong. And so that is the basis by which this president has chosen a military intervention in Iran. And so everyone is bracing, the world is bracing for Iran's response. How are they going to respond? Could it be a response that hits not just the American people, but folks around the world in the wallet when it comes to limiting or stopping, the flow of crude oil ships from the Middle East? Could it be that? Could it be cyber warfare? Could it be an attack on our energy grid? Could it be an attack on American bases, military bases in the Middle East, right? These are some of the possible scenarios that have been widely reported.
And I think that's what a lot of the people are concerned about right now, right? I mean, obviously we want no harm to come to anyone. Understandably, our troops sign up for this, right? And so that's their job, their duty, their honor, and we appreciate and respect them for putting it all on the line. But I'm immediately drawn to the No Kings protest, right? And I shouldn't be flagging potential or putting pins in potential targets, right? But I'm more concerned about just the everyday things that we experience, right? As I'm in San Francisco yesterday at a Juneteenth parade, and I'm thinking, is this a target now, right? Iran is supposed to respond. Like, it's unsettling to me, right? What a retaliation could look like, and I think for the first time, as a black man, I'm concerned that I may be the target of a retaliation from a foreign entity, foreign government, but then I got my own government, right, snatching up people right here on the streets, right? So I think this is such a different. This just feels different, Doc. Talk to us a little bit more about you said the choking out of the oil. Iran produces 20% of the global oil usage, right, and petroleum and whatnot. So what happens if their partners, China, Russia, who comes to their aid?
Who comes to
the
Iran's
aid of Iran? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good question. We know that I think there's been reports of an appeal to Vladimir Putin. We know Russia and Iran have long had, a standing relationship. And so far we're hearing from Putin that it's not his war. It's not his war. And so, Putin has, his hands full with the Russia-Ukraine conflict that by many reports has lasted much longer than it seems, Putin anticipated. And so it's unclear what role, if any, Russia might play in terms of supporting Iran. One big wild card that exists at this hour is China. We know that China has a long relationship with Iran. What role they might play, it's unclear, but we know that there are reports that U.S. officials, are urging Chinese officials to urge Iran to exercise some restraint and to not make matters worse. And so there are a lot of wild cards at this hour related to this conflict. I think there are a number of people, stateside that have some serious questions around the constitutionality of the president doing this in the first place. We know that there were a lot of high-ranking Democrats that were in the dark about this happening. Only a few Republicans on Capitol Hill knew that this attack was imminent, knew when it was happening. And so there are lots of questions this morning here in Washington and beyond. And that's part of the reason why, as KBLA's White House correspondent, I'm making it my business to go over to the White House and figure out what I can find in time to share with our leaders, learners, and listeners this afternoon.
So is it the 1973 Act that gives the president the authority to, initiate these strikes, and he does not need, am I getting that right? He doesn't need Congress approval, right? And we're hearing discussion now, conflict, and then we hear the word war, right? Which one is it? Where are we right now? Is it that if Iran retaliates or responds, does that trigger a war? Like, just so we kind of clean it up for the delegation, because I'm hearing some folks think we're in a war right now, and I don't think we've ever been out of a conflict. What's the difference?
Well, I mean, I think it's a very good question, and I think the administration wants to play down this idea that we are at war with Iran. I certainly heard Secretary of State, National Security Advisor Marco Rubio suggest on Face the Nation yesterday, that we weren't at war with Iran. We were at war with Iran's nuclear program. Right. And so to a lot of people, that's a distinction without a difference. I mean, think about if it was in reverse, and if a, foreign nation disturbed our sovereignty and, had a targeted attack on, the U.S. nuclear program. Right. Would we not interpret that as an act of war? And so, this is one of the debates that is afoot right now. But I want to share with you a statement from the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence Vice Chairman Senator Mark Warner, because I think his statement really sums things up for a lot of us. He says, quotes, President Trump came into office promising to end the endless foreign wars. Tonight, he took steps that could drag the United States into another one without consulting Congress, without a clear strategy, without regard to the consistent conclusions of the intelligence community, and without explaining to the American people what's at stake. Senator Warner goes on to say there's no question that Iran poses a serious threat to regional stability, and the United States must remain unwavering in our commitment to Israel's security and in ensuring that Iran never acquires a nuclear weapon. But launching direct military strikes without authorization from or consultation with Congress raises urgent questions. What is the president's objective? How is he measuring success? And what's the plan to prevent this from dragging our country into another open-ended conflict in the Middle East that costs American lives and resources for years to come? Senator Warner says that the Constitution makes clear that the power to authorize war lies with Congress. There are more than 40,000 U.S. service members deployed across the region, as well as American diplomats, contractors, and aid workers, and the safety of our personnel must be paramount. With American lives and our national security on the line, any action that could draw the United States into a broader conflict demands transparency, accountability, and a clear strategy. So far, the president has offered none of these. And so a very powerful statement from Senator Mark Warner. He is the vice chair, the ranking member of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. If any senator knows what's really going on, it's going to be those senators on committees like the Intelligence Committee.
But see, Doc, we interrogate the language, right? And so I think I heard two things that I'm still confused about. I heard war and conflict. First of all, so we understand the president did not need the authorization from Congress to enter this conflict. He needs the authorization from Congress to enter a war. Am I?
That's right. I think you're hearing that right. And I think the Trump administration is trying to play this down and make it appear as if it's just a conflict, right? I think if we go based upon acts by previous presidents, I think a lot of people that would say that, when you strike somebody's military facility, nuclear facility, you're dropping bombs, right? Mm-hmm. That is clearly a declaration of war. And mm-hmm. so I think part of the reason why a lot of people are waiting for Iran to respond, I think their response will be a sign of how they interpret those actions, right? There are plenty of folks around the world that interpret that as an act of war. This administration so far is not interpreting it in that way. We'll see what Democrats on Capitol Hill have to say about that in a unified voice. But so far we're hearing from Democrats in the Senate. We're also hearing from House Democrats, including Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, that the president, based on the Constitution, should have sought authorization from Congress.
Well, I mean, that's an opinion, right? And that may be literally as we sit here on Monday morning, right? And someone quarterbacking, and I'm not taking a position either way on the decision that President Trump made to launch this strike. But I am struck by the fact that it seems that every administration finds themselves in some sort of a conflict, and perhaps not necessarily a declared war, but it was very clear when Al-Qaeda flew planes into the Pentagon and the Twin Towers that America interpreted that as an act of war. So why wouldn't the Iranian government interpret anything less than this being an act of war and respond in kind? And I want to continue that conversation with you, Doc, as we come forward to understand a little bit more what you're looking for when you go there. What are people saying in D.C., right? Is there concern? Are people alarmed? How should we be preparing ourselves here? Things that we should be looking out for, and that's where I want to continue this conversation with you when we come forward. You're listening to First Things First, hosted by Dominique DiPrima, but I'm James Farr. I'm sitting in for her today as she makes her travel. Her and Miles are off to the continent for their sojourn, and along with the delegation, and when I say delegation, I mean folks from the community who make that pilgrimage with her. Looking forward to hearing more about that. Only on KBLA Talk 1580, your ancestors' favorite radio station.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. California Democrats are slamming President Trump's strike on Iran. On CNN's State of the Union, Congressman Adam Schiff called it unconstitutional.
But there's a reason to bring this to Congress, and it is you want the Congress bought in. You want the American people bought in on an action this substantial that could lead to a major outbreak of war.
He warned that bypassing Congress could be detrimental and that this operation should have never been authorized by the president. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has vetoed a teen curfew ordinance passed by the city council. The measure aimed to restrict minors' access to public spaces at night, but Johnson pushed back, citing concerns over youth rights and enforcement. And rapper Lil Wayne's The Carter 6 has dethroned Kendrick Lamar's GNX as the top rap album in the U.S. The album debuted at #1 on Billboard's hip-hop chart with 108,000 units sold, marking Wayne's 11th chart topper. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Slow ride for you on the 101 South as you leave Encino and make your way into Sherman Oaks. Expect stop-and-go traffic between White Oak and the 134. Then in Highland Park on the 110 South just before Marmion Way, we have the left lane blocked for a 3-car crash. Stop-and-go coming from York. Then in Anaheim 5 South right at Brookhurst. Stalled car blocking your right lane. We can see this backup starts at the 91.
Is this the title?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
Whenever the Oklahoma City Thunder faced a challenge in the NBA regular season, the playoffs, or the finals, they rose up and got the job done. OKC played like champions most of the season, and they were on top of their game Sunday night, using a dominant second half to beat the Indiana Pacers 103-91 for their first NBA championship since moving to OKC in 2008. NBA MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was also voted MVP of the finals. SGA led the Thunder with 29 points, 12 assists, and 2 block shots. Indiana had to play most of the game without star point guard Tyrese Halliburton, who suffered an Achilles tendon injury with 4:55 left in the first quarter. There was another major news story in the NBA on Sunday. The Phoenix Suns traded future Hall of Famer Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets, a young team that made it to the Western Conference semifinals this season. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Every mother deserves a healthy and joyous pregnancy and birth, and every baby deserves to thrive. That's why the Los Angeles County Abundant Birth Project is here. The Abundant Birth Project is a guaranteed income program that provides cash during pregnancy to pregnant individuals at the highest risk of preterm and low birth rate babies. Although program enrollment has closed, our commitment to Black joy and thriving continues. Through tailored services that foster mental well-being and community-based resources, we provide care and support during pregnancy and after the baby is born to help build brighter futures for our families. Join us in celebrating abundant births in LA County. For more information, please visit abundantbirthproject.org. abundantbirthproject.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
Yep. You were back. KBLA Talk 1580. This is First Things First. James Farr. I'm sitting in for the Queen, Dominique DiPrima. Her and Miles are off on a journey and trip to the continent, but Dominique will be back on tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. And she'll bring us all the exciting updates from her travel. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited and I'm looking forward to it. But right now I have my colleague, Dr. Nicordelai-Corte, who is the host of A More Perfect Union, which airs right here on this station Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. He is also our chief national correspondent, as well as a former White House correspondent. But he's headed over to the White House right now.
Current White House correspondent.
Current White House. Current. We gotta
Yeah.
You know what? They let you in even though you tell the truth, Doc.
They for now.
I thought I was giving you cover, right? Like a distraction. He's lost, man. What's the energy like? How are people? What is it? What's happening in D.C. right now?
Well, I think right now a lot of folks in D.C., very similar to other parts of the country, are sort of bracing themselves. People are not stopping, their everyday lives, but I think people are on alert. I saw folks out and about this weekend, but I also saw a heightened security presence around town this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after the airstrikes, there were, big dump trucks that sort of surrounded the Capitol, something that we're used to seeing, around the time of the inauguration, or, if there are massive protests that are set to be in town, we're used to seeing that. And so, it's a city on high alert, but, it's a town that is also moving forward and going about its business.
Gotcha. We're learning now that this action that was taken, has been in the planning for weeks and months. It just didn't happen. I guess as much as we'd like to think this current president just kind of does things kind of reactively, but there appears to be some intentionality and planning. But as we are kind of railing through these, switching the gears up a little bit, these ICE raids, some think that, one is a distraction to the other. Like, he did this to take our attention off of what's happening with these ICE raids. Is that a thought on the East Coast, or is that how people are processing it with where you're at?
Yeah, certainly the so-called Big Beautiful Bill that is currently making its way through the United States Senate. This is a bill that would amount to a major transfer of wealth, a major divestment from healthcare. We're talking about folks who depend on Medicaid as a lifeline, would lose that lifeline. We're talking about somewhere around $800 to $900 billion in cuts to Medicaid. We're talking about remaking the federal student loan program. We're talking about cuts to Social Security. We're talking about really reshaping our social compact between the people and the government. And so that's what's at stake. But, we can chew gum and walk, and we can be attentive to what is happening in Iran. We can be attentive to the impact these ICE raids are having not just in Los Angeles and across the state of California, where our home station is, but across the country.
Mm-hmm.
And we can be attentive to the constitutionality of these actions too. And let me just add, Representative Thomas Massey, he represents a district in Kentucky. He's the first to defeat a sitting Republican incumbent. Well, he's no fan of Donald Trump's decision to attack Iran, saying on X that, quote, it was not constitutional, prompting the president himself to fire back on Truth Social that the congressman is, quote, not MAGA. He also called Representative Massey, quote, weak and ineffective and disrespectful to our great military and all that they stand for. Massey is one of two House Republicans to vote against Trump's big, beautiful bill last month, leading Trump to declare that he should be voted out of office. And so we're starting to see some Republicans, push back very publicly, Representative Thomas Massey being one. We're hearing Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. She is not supportive of the strikes, the airstrikes this weekend that the president did in Iran. Listen.
I mean, she normally carries his water, though. She normally carries his water. And I'm speaking about Representative Marjorie Greene. She
carries his water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. She normally carries his water, look, it's unclear where other House Republicans and Senate Republicans, where they're going to fall. We know that just late last week, Senate Majority Leader Thune, when asked by members of the press as to whether or not he believed that the president needed to seek out the congressional authority to act related to Iran, at the time, the Senate Majority Leader said that he believed the president was working within the bounds of his authority, right? And so does that position still hold this Monday? We're going to find out.
Well, we're definitely going to find out. And I said I wanted to talk to you about the ICE things, and as we look at just all of this, right, and you're talking about the president acting within his authority. He also has said he's acting with his authority, and he presents an interesting argument. We want to believe the lies and disbelieve when he actually says he's going to do something, right? It's so confusing, and in this case, he's doing what he said he was going to do, but it is at the expense of terrorizing. And I don't think the rest of the country, and I'm not talking to the delegation, I'm not talking to the people right here in our community who live and work with many of these folks that are being terrorized, but I'm talking to the folks who are not really supporting our community. But it is sheer terror right now, Doc. These hooded, masked violence workers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rolling around communities in Ford Fusions, jumping out on people with guns drawn. I want to get your take on how you're seeing this from that 30,000 foot, from the national lens when we come forward. You're listening to First Things First. I'm James Farr. I'm subbing in for Dominique DiPrima. My guest this morning is Dr. Neek Quarterly-Corte, who is the host of A More Perfect Union, which airs right here on KBLA Talk 1580, Monday through Thursday, 4 to 6 p.m. If you're not listening, make sure you're listening. That's how I stay informed on what's happening with our national lens. Only on KBLA Talk 1580, your ancestors' favorite radio station.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an SMP open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit CASMPvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money, or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help. Are you ready to play? Then jump into the LA 84 Foundation's free Playday Block Party, a community celebration for all ages, including live music, dancing, LA's pro sports teams, great local food trucks, plus special giveaways for you to take home. Enjoy an exciting, fun-filled day for the entire family. Join us Saturday, June 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 2141 West Adams Boulevard. To register, go to la84.org. We'll see you Saturday, June 28th at LA 84 Foundation's free Playday Block Party.
Catch Prep is now enrolling for summer credit recovery in fall 2025. As South Los Angeles' top-performing high school in English, math, and college access, Catch Prep is welcoming all 9th through 12th graders to enroll now. Catch Prep offers a small, supportive, and safe learning environment to help all students succeed, so that all students feel valued, respected, and motivated to reach their full potential. For the past 20 years, Catch Prep has helped more students of color gain admission to top-tier universities, with our graduating seniors earning a total of $3 million in scholarships, more than any other school in Los Angeles. We are dedicated to helping all students turn your college dreams into reality. Catch Prep is now enrolling. Visit us online at catchhighschool.com or call 323-293-3917. Spaces limited. Please enroll now for summer credit recovery and fall 2025. Call 323-293-3917 or enroll today at catchhighschool.com.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
KBLA Talk 1580, you're listening to First Things First. I'm not Dominic DiPrima, but I am sitting in for Dominic DiPrima. My name is James Farr, and I'm holding it down while Dominic and Miles are making that pilgrimage over to the continent. Dominic will be back tomorrow morning right here on air, KBLA Talk 1580, her normal time, 6 a.m. But I'm joined this morning by Dr. Nicordelai Corte, who is the host of KBLA's A More Perfect Union, which airs Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and he's headed off to the White House to keep all of us informed about what's happening. Doc, ICE is out of control. But some in the delegation say, this ain't our fight. What say you?
Of course it's our fight, because anybody who knows the history of immigration in this country, anybody who is familiar with the history of policing in this country knows that what's happening is at the intersection of those histories. Mm-hmm. And it has just been absolutely heart-wrenching watching videos on social media, reading stories about everyday people whose lives have been turned upside down, because of their undocumented status or their alleged undocumented status. Let's not forget that one of the most anti-American things that law enforcement can do is to deny us our basic rights. There's a reason why we're read our Miranda rights, when there's any sort of arrest, right? You have the right to remain silent. Mm-hmm. You have the right to an attorney, mm-hmm. right? There is due process that is built into the Constitution. We are all afforded that, right? Law enforcement doesn't get to be judge, jury, and executioner. And unfortunately, we're seeing too many examples of law enforcement or folks, who are cosplaying as law enforcement, people who've been deputized but not trained properly,
right?
That are violating people's rights. And so it's important that when we see things, say something.
But
you
Doc,
see something, say something.
That I think that's the rub in this for some people, right? Some people in this conversation, police. I'm gonna start talking in cursive now, Doc. But police been jumping out on black folks for years. It's nothing new. Like, I mean, we've had to condition and contort, conform, and even perform, hopefully, to save our lives, right? And so that, I think that's kind of this area where, you know, some say, man, I'm cool. This is nothing new, and it will pass. What do you say to them?
I say that we have to hold the moral high ground. That's what I say. We have to hold the moral high ground. You know, we need to follow the golden rule. Do unto others as we would have them do unto us. We need to love thy neighbor, right? Even when they're a stranger, right? These are all things that, you know, anybody, you know, who has come up in, you know, the black faith tradition or other traditions, you know, are familiar with, right? That, I think that's what we need to do. Remember, again, in the tradition of the black press, something that, you know, I'm committed to, you're committed to, that so many of us are committed to, we believe our job is to not only inform, but to liberate, right? And, you know, we know that the history of black folks in this country, when we liberate black people, we liberate all people.
Well,
and so, you know, let's not reduce the humanity of other folks, you know, because in some cases we might not have seen them sort of show up for us, you know, when we needed them. There are plenty of examples in history of black and brown folks working together.
Well,
right?
when we come forward, Doc, you know how this clock works around here. What I want you to guide us through, and you're going where I hoped you would go, right? But when we come forward, you know that old saying that if they came for you in the day, they surely will come for me tonight, right? I think there's something that, you know, my family is from the United States, right? But there's a large percentage of us who are here who obviously show up in spaces as black, may not identify as black, but they are from a different diaspora. They are actually immigrants, right? So I don't think it's stopping where it has started, but we'll unpack that. And I want to hear what you say about that. Only on KBLA, Talk 1580, we got your black.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-433-8909. 800-433-8909. That's 800-433-8909. Or simply visit godra.com.
The conversation continues right now with Dominic DiPrima on First Things First.
And we keep continuing the conversation right here on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm James Farr, and this subbing in today for Dominic DiPrima, who will be back with you. But I have on the line right now my colleague, Dr. Neat Quarterly, host of A More Perfect Union, which airs Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time. And I was talking with Doc before we came forward, that idea that if they came for you in the day, then they're surely coming for me tonight. Doc, a lot of black folks, us native, if you will, may not necessarily look at us, especially in California, right? The diaspora, we don't look at our Caribbean brothers and perhaps maybe even our brothers from the continent, brothers and sisters from the continent, as if they may be in jeopardy. I mean, they're talking about revoking birthright citizenship. What should those black folks be concerned about?
I say this as somebody who comes from an immigrant family. My father was born and raised in Ghana. My mom is Black American. They met at an HBCU in Texas and had me many years later in California. There are a lot of folks out there that live and have grown up in households where there may be a mixed immigration status in that house. I remember when my dad became an American citizen, right? When I was born, he was not a citizen. He became a citizen when I was, I think, in middle school, right? And though my dad immigrated to this country differently on a student visa, he was an immigrant nonetheless. And we've got to bring the humanity back into the conversation and remind folks that immigrant people are people. Are we reducing folks to their immigration status?
Yeah, that illegal alien
people,
thing, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's no better than reducing people to their HIV status. It's no better than reducing people to their income status, right? These things don't define who a person, who a human being is. And we cannot lose sight of that. The fact that the current administration loves to call undocumented folks illegals.
Aliens. That has always bothered me.
Right? To call them something foreign, to reduce them into something less than human, don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Because if they can reduce undocumented folks into something less than human, right? If they can reduce black folks into something less than human, if they can reduce women into something less than human, right? Then I think that is a world that I'm not sure we want to live in. It's not a world that I think we want to raise our kids in.
No.
Right? And so it is on all of us to do our part to make sure that the humanity of our neighbors, of our friends, of our family members does not get lost in this ball of confusion.
In our final 30 seconds, Doc, what are you doing that helps you sustain hope?
What I do to sustain hope is remain tethered in community with people that I love, people that I respect, people that I admire, people that inspire me. I think the surest way that we get to the other side of whatever it is that is happening in this moment is together. And I pass that on to all of our leaders, learners, and listeners tuning in.
Doc, I appreciate this. Is Dr. Nicordelai Corte, host of A More Perfect Union, which airs right here on this station Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. To 6 p.m. Pacific time. Doc, I know you got to run over there to the White House. You be safe out there, and we appreciate the work. I know I'm going to be listening because I want to continue to be a listener, leader, and learner, which you do every week right here on these airways. Doc, how can people reach you?
You can follow me at Dr. Nicordelai on all the social media platforms. Just type in Dr. Niq, DRNIIQ, and there I pop up. But be sure to subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way you'll never miss an episode.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Tavis Smiley is up next. He has an amazing show. It's been my pleasure to hold this space down. KBLA Talk 1580. We got your black.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. At the UN, U.S. Ambassador Dorothy Camille Shea defended Saturday's strike on Iran, citing decades of threats from Tehran.
The time finally came for the United States, in the defense of its ally and in the defense of our own citizens and interests, to act decisively.
She warned Iran against retaliation, promising devastating